Around the world, there's over 145,000 flights every single day, so it's no wonder that sometimes scary things happen on planes. From the scariest near misses experienced by pilots and passengers, to mysterious videos that no one's ever been able to solve. Plane blows up. Have you ever seen a plane blow up? I don't mean like in a movie with special effects, I mean really explode. Well, that's what happened on purpose in the UK back in 2015. Of course, no one was on this plane when it was blown up. But it was still quite a sight to see. It was done as a test to see how well a plane would hold up against an explosive. They used a Boeing 747, and that meant this test cost $387 million. It's quite an amazing sight to see, and the plane did hold up quite well on the outside. But of course, if this happened during a flight, the plane would simply fly out of the sky in two pieces. Scarily, researchers planted the explosives in the reinforced cargo area. They did this because they wanted to simulate someone taking an explosive in their luggage. Hopefully, this very expensive research saved lives. Road landing. This one took place in Parkland, Washington in 2019. A cop car was driving down a road one day and everything seemed normal. That's when all of a sudden a plane lands on the road next to him. The pilot must have been pretty good because he didn't hit anything. The plane made a dramatic thud onto the road and then eventually came to a stop. But just as this happens, it was pulled over by the cop car. Making a road landing is incredibly illegal, but it turns out the plane had actually malfunctioned and the pilot had done a pretty good job to land on a road. Thankfully, there were no reports of injuries or damage. But the cop said after 21 years on the force, this was a first for him. Mystery plane. One day in LA, a plane spotter named John Graff was recording a normal plane. The airplane had just taken off from an airport and was flying away. That's when in a split second, a large aircraft flies right in front of this plane. It then flies right off frame.
Oh, that was nice. Anybody see that?
John and his friend are both taken aback. His friend says maybe it was a fighter jet going really fast. But this looks much larger than a fighter jet to me. Also, I've analysed the general shape and I can't match this to any fighter jet. This looks much more like a private jet, but private jets don't go this fast. For it to move at that speed from that distance means that it must have been going as fast as a fighter jet. But it doesn't have the shape of one. Another weird thing is, this plane makes no sound. That should be impossible being that close and going that fast. Some in YouTube comments have said this could be a super fast stealth jet the military is developing. But this video is over 1 year old and the military's not brought out anything like this. What do you think could be going on with this very mysterious plane?
Oh, that was nice. Anybody see that?
Plane crash. Statistically, airplanes are the safest way to travel, much more so than a car, boat, or even bicycle. But every year there's around 14 plane crashes. This plane crash in 2012, however, was done on purpose. Thankfully, the passenger jet was remotely controlled. This was after the pilots parachuted out of it. As you can see, the helicopter tailing it was filming it for TV. Many expected the airplane to simply explode as soon as it hits the ground. But the sand actually softened the blow. Instead, it skidded and then the plane's nose broke off. Sand then tore through the plane's body, totally destroying the interior. The aircraft was a Boeing 727. That means this experiment cost around $30 million to do. It was crashed in the Mexican desert. And if you go to Mexicali, you can see sections from the crashed plane stored alongside Highway number 5. Snake on a plane. Everyone remembers the iconic Samuel L. Jackson movie Snakes on a Plane. But it turns out truth is scarier than fiction. While a plane was in the air, a snake came down from the overhead compartment. Using magazines and a blanket, 2 of the passengers were able to capture this snake. This took place in 2016 on an Aeromexico flight. Aeromexico say they're not sure how the snake got onto the plane. Thankfully, they were able to make an emergency landing and remove the snake from the plane. Plane ghost. This video was filmed one night on a plane. Most of the passengers are blissfully unaware of what's going on. They're wearing headsets and watching a movie. But one passenger keeps seeing something very strange. Floating from one of the seats appears to be some kind of phantom or ghost. To me, it kind of looks like a woman's face. In the comments section, one person said maybe someone was smoking on the plane. But nowadays, smoking is prohibited on every plane. Also, the uploader did not mention that. What do you think this ghostly face could be? UFO. One day an airplane was landing very close to another plane flying in the sky. That's when a young passenger took out his phone to record out of the window. This is a pretty common thing to do when landing over somewhere interesting. But as he was filming, something strange comes into the frame. An incredibly fast, small object was moving in the opposite direction to his plane.
Whoa! Whoa, did you see that?
The boy is stunned and says, "Whoa, did you see that?" I've tried slowing this down, but the frame rate is very low. This means all we see is a disc-shaped object. This may be motion blur though, in reality it's likely a lot smaller. This craft may have been emitting some kind of light. This has led to some online saying it could be a UFO or maybe paranormal. I think an argument for a military aircraft could be made here. After all, many people do sometimes mistake military aircraft for UFOs. It's far too fast to be a bird and far too small to be a drone. Storm landing. As I've already said, flying in planes is pretty safe, but the most dangerous part of any flight is the landing. That's because that's when most incidences occur. In 2008, a plane was landing at Hamburg Airport in Germany. There's a terrible storm and this affects the plane's landing. The plane slides from side to side and even scrapes its wing on the runway. Thankfully, the 136 people on board were okay. An investigation also found that the Airbus's computer switched to ground mode. This meant the computer took over and limited the pilot's power when landing. This led to Airbus improving their flight's computers. Hudson River landing. In 2009, an Airbus plane was flying to New York's LaGuardia Airport. That was when all of a sudden it struck a flock of birds. These birds went into the plane's engine, causing it to lose all power. The pilots were panicked as they could not reach any airport to make an emergency landing. That's when pilot Chesley Sullenberg did the unthinkable. He landed on the Hudson River in Midtown Manhattan. Amazingly, all 155 people on board were okay. They were rescued by nearby boats. And the incident was caught on a Coast Guard video. Now it's time to make your voice heard. Comment below which was the scariest plane video. If you want some more amazing videos, check out my second channel. But as always, thanks for watching. There are some more videos on screen right now. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to Top 10s.